Hello, welcome to my channel. I had done a YouTube video about, I don't know, 10 months to a year ago about Dennis Earl Seger, who had gone missing from Seattle, Washington. And they had found remains after he'd gone missing, and apparently they have discovered that those remains belong to him. So I've been getting comments, and the man who went missing, his name was Dennis Earl Seger, and here's the National Missing Person Directory. Because I don't see him on the Doe Network or the Charlie Project or NamUs or anything. I can find him. But he is still here on the National Missing Person Directory. And this says last seen November 30th, 1986. I don't know who saw him. And it says circumstances on September 10th, 1986, which is what they said on NamUs. The missing person packed his belongings and drove from Seattle, Washington en route to the Los Angeles area. That's September. So I don't know who saw him November 30th, but his vehicle was located December 30th, 1986. So this is what, 3.5 months later or longer, a little bit more, in the Barstow area. And he was going to LA, or the area. He was 50 years old, sandy hair, blue eyes. He had a scar on his left temple behind his eye. And his vehicle was a green Ford Torino 1976 sedan. And it was recovered, impounded, and released to a family member. And I don't know what was in it or anything like that because it doesn't say. One of the things I question is where was his keys? Were they in the vehicle? Were they in his pocket? Where was his wallet? Was it in the vehicle? Was it in his pocket? Was he staying at a hotel room or but I don't think so. But I don't know. So here's one of the ads on the newspapers they have. This one says, in September 1986, Dennis Earl Seger packed his belongings into his green Ford Torino, leaving his Seattle home for Los Angeles. This is he never made a new home in LA. His car was found in Barstow a month after he was last seen, but I don't know who saw him last. About 120 miles out from Los Angeles. And I don't know if he went to Los Angeles and something happened and he left and went to Barstow, or if he was en route, because it's not going to take him 3 months, I don't think, to get to LA, right? So he was 50 years old, unless he was traveling, taking his time. I don't know. He was 50 years old the last time anyone heard from him, according to the National Missing Person Directory. More than a year later, off-road motorists stumbled across skeletal remains in a remote swath of desert in Newberry Springs, about 150 miles from Seger's destination. So November 23rd, 1987, deputies confirmed the remains were a human skeleton. And I think they found them the day before, November 22nd. But with no investigative leads or identification on the body, the case went cold. So again, I ask, where were the keys to the car? Where was his wallet? Where was his driver's license? Wouldn't he have that on him, or right? Why was his vehicle in Barstow and then him so far away? Anyway, so then it says nearly 4 decades later, there are finally some answers. Using a bone fragment taken from the remains, the California Department of Justice was able to determine through DNA testing that the skeleton belonged to him. So at least, his family and his loved ones, probably every time there's a John Doe or something, maybe they're wondering what happened to him, where he was. And so so this helps them to know where his body was. I don't know if they'll release the skeletal remains so that if they could cremate the ashes or anything like that, but I wonder how the investigators feel, trying. I imagine that it's upsetting for them as well. According to a news release from the department Thursday, family members had shared their DNA during the Los Angeles Police Department investigation that followed Seger's disappearance. What happened on that trip and in that lonesome stretch of desert may forever remain a mystery. I hope not. I hope they find out what happened to him. I hope someone comes forward and who still knows somebody. Who knows what happened. The LAPD concluded its investigation, so they closed the case, saying there's no evidence that Seger died because of assault or criminal action by another person, the department said. Wow, I didn't realize they would close the case. I thought it would just still be unsolved. I didn't, because you've got people whose loved ones go missing and they don't know what happened to them, and they're wondering, is this John Doe my loved one? Is this John Doe my loved one? And then that doesn't necessarily close the case, and they wonder what happened to them, right? How did they get where they are? And often it's like if it's a homicide, it would be an unsolved homicide. So, but this one, they're closing the case. Unless they get more information, maybe they would open it again. Seger spent his early childhood in St. Cloud, Minnesota with his parents and older sister. According to the 1940 census, he lived in Seattle in the years preceding his disappearance. He was born April 29th, 1936. Those with additional information are asked to contact Detective Edward Hernandez at 909-890-4904. That's 909-890-4904. And even if you feel like, somebody was drinking and talking, you feel like it's hearsay, it's not like you're testifying in court. You can let them know that it's hearsay and what you heard, and you can write it down, send them a letter, email them, email a few people if you want to make sure that they have the information. Call them, but if you're concerned that they may not take the notes correctly, like I said, you can email them, write a letter. Any information that you have, let them decide what's relevant and what's not relevant, because it might help them. So the remains were found according to this, San Bernardino County desert identified. It said the remains were discovered in the desert in 1987, were identified on Wednesday. The body belonged to Dennis Earl Seger. This said he was 51, a man from Washington State, according to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office. In 1986, Seger was reported missing by family members. On November 23, 1987, around 7:45 a.m., off-roading motorists discovered Seger's body in a remote desert area about 8 miles north of Harvard Road and the 15 freeway. Now, how did he get 8 miles out in a remote desert? Is he going to walk and leave his car in Barstow and go out to that area and then, or hitchhike and then walk out and just walk 8 miles out into the middle of nowhere in the desert? When these are off-roading motorists, does that mean they have ATVs, maybe motorcycles? How did he get out there? Was he alive when he went out there, or did something happen to him and somebody take his body out there using a motorcycle or an ATV or something? Why was he out there? Was he riding ATVs with somebody and something happened? I don't understand why he was out in the middle of nowhere. Where was his wallet? Where was his car keys? It doesn't make any sense. I have a lot of questions. Detectives from the Specialized Investigation Division responded and took over the investigation. And I am sure that they have a lot of questions as well. I'm sure that they do. But I guess they need proof, right? So, no identifying belongings, no wallet. Suspects or other investigative leads were present at the time, so the case went cold, officials said. So, did he have cash on him? Was he looking for an apartment to rent or a house? Did he have a job lined up? Who was he meeting with? Who had he been spending time with? Who was he talking to? Do they have any of that information? And to me, even if you knew him, you knew who he was talking to, you knew where he was renting an apartment, where he was staying, who he was spending time with, if he had a job, what he was doing. To me, any information like that, it might even be helpful because you just never know what information might help them. Even though they said the case is closed, maybe you could put it in a letter. Maybe you could make a copy of the letter. Maybe you could email them. Maybe you could contact, somebody. I don't know. But a bone, maybe you could contact the family. I don't know. But I would contact that number. A bone fragment from the remains was later sent to the California Department of Justice Bureau of Forensic Services, so DNA could be extracted for comparison and analysis. During the LAPD's investigation, Seger's family members provided their DNA for comparison. When a positive match was confirmed, his loved ones were notified of the discovery. Authorities said there was no evidence to show Seger died as a result of an assault or any other criminal action from any other person. So how did he die, I wonder? I wonder what happened. I just wonder how I still have so many questions. And again, anyone with any information is asked to contact Detective Edward Hernandez at 909-890-4904. And so we're going to look. Here's that video. I can't zoom in on the video because it cuts off the recording. But this says date of last contact, November 30th, 1986. I don't know who he had contact with. Seattle, Washington. He was 50 years old. It says on September 10th, 1986, the missing person packed his belongings and drove from Seattle, Washington en route to the Los Angeles area. His vehicle was found 12/30, 1986, after Christmas in the Barstow area. So that's a month after his last date of contact, right? And here's some of the comments that I had. This one said his remains were found in the desert of Southern California. That was like 5 days ago. And then somebody had messaged me and said that so his family has closure now. I don't know if they have closure, but I would think that it would be such a blessing to, hopefully be able to scatter his ashes or have his ashes in a container or in a necklace or something. And to know where his body was at least would be, it would be a blessing. But then I would imagine they still have questions. And then this one says, some things just don't add up. Why did he abandon his car in Barstow? Where was he heading? Was he robbed because he had lots of money on him and left in a remote area? Because if he was going to buy a house or rent a house, maybe he did. Was his car in working order? Did he have gas in it? But even if his car wasn't in working order, why would he be way out in the middle of nowhere unless... It doesn't make any sense for him to be out in the middle of the desert so far from his vehicle. And what about witnesses? And it said, did he take hiking or camping equipment with him, but still out in the middle of nowhere that far? Without any reason to be out there, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's how I feel too. It doesn't make any sense. Because no wallet, no keys, that doesn't make any sense at all. And that one said, I think the last record you showed was the one later identified as him. And I went and looked, and it's not on the The last one that I showed isn't on there anymore, so it appears that it was. So, and this one right here shows he was 50 years old, 6 foot tall, 170 pounds. And this one shows a picture of him. I wonder if he knew somebody in LA. You know, I wonder if he was in a relationship with anybody, if that's why he wanted to go out there. I wonder why he chose to move there. And then this one shows the John Doe that was found November 22nd, 1987, Newberry Springs, California, age 40 to 60. Estimated height was 6'1", and he was about 6 foot tall. Estimated year of death was 1977 to 1987, and he was 1986. And then underneath here it says Newberry Springs, California, San Bernardino, California. So San Bernardino County. And then this shows what he was wearing. He had a blue Levi jacket and pants on, a blue plaid shirt, a dark blue sweater, a royal blue pants, a ball cap that reads LA. So that means he must have gotten to LA, right? And a black belt. He had rings on, a war animal depicted ring, a white metal ring with knorrels with metals, Seiko watch, and a metal ring with animals. Pin on lapel reads Supertramp. And here's Barstow, and out here's where his vehicle. His vehicle was found in Barstow. Here's LA, which I'm sure within 3 months he's been to LA, right? So I wonder if something happened to him in that area or out here. But they said that there's no reason to think that. But I still have so many questions, right? Because it's a half an hour from where his vehicle was found of a drive. Walking would take a long time. And here's where Harvard meets 115, or not 115, 15. And then it said 8 miles, and you can see 5 miles. So it'd be right in the middle of here somewhere. How did he get out there? What was he doing out there, right? How's he getting out there? He'd have to have like an off-road type vehicle or an ATV or a motorcycle or something. What is he doing out here in the middle of nowhere? With his vehicle being in Barstow, that's in the city, right? So it's not like he's going to be, if he was out here and he ran out of gas or broke down, then he might be headed there with his vehicle. But to have his vehicle here and him out in the middle of nowhere, that doesn't seem to make any sense. It doesn't. It really doesn't. St. Anthony. There's roads out here. Trillion Tree Farm. There's a ranch, Harvard Mill Monument. I just don't understand. Are these roads? There's an Alvord mine. So people with off-road, Coyote Dry Lake Bed. People with off-road vehicles found him. Paradise Springs temporarily closed. And it makes you wonder, was he with somebody else? Did he have to walk and something happened and he died from the elements? How did he end up in the middle of nowhere like that? No wallet? Was it That's what I wonder. No wallet. He didn't have any identification. That doesn't make any sense because you would think he would have a wallet, he'd have credit cards, he'd have money. He's moving to LA. It's kind of expensive to live there. He's going to need finances to be able to do that. His vehicle's in Barstow. And I'm sure they would have checked to see if he had stayed at local hotels or somewhere in Barstow. Why was his vehicle in Barstow? And there's LA. So where was he moving to? You think LA, you think he was probably moving to like Huntington Beach, Santa Ana, Long Beach, Anaheim, somewhere nice like that, right? So he would have to have money to be able to do that. But is that where he was moving to? So many more questions. Anyway, what happened to his wallet? I don't know why that Alton showed up like that. And it's like they said, we may never know. We may never know what happened to him or why. So if you have any information at all, please contact authorities and let them know. Why would he be out in the middle of nowhere so far away from his vehicle? It's just so sad. So please don't forget to pray for his family and his loved ones. There's a community hospital out there. I wonder if it's been out there. Army Airfield. Goldstone Deep Space Station antenna, Apollo. Anyway, please don't forget to pray for his family and his loved ones. Feel free to leave comments, and it just makes me so sad. Anyway, have a blessed day. Bye-bye.